This video covers steps 1 and 2 of your course spanning project. So I'm just going to start reading the instructions and interrupt myself as I have more to share and elaborate on about each of them. So the purpose is that it begins your course spanning project, which is your family engagement plan. And hopefully you read all about that in the very first module in Canvas that welcomes you to the class. So, by helping, sorry, to continue that sentence, this assignment begins your course spanning project, family engagement plan, by helping you build a deeper understanding of the families in your care. Okay, so before we can decide what our families might need and benefit from and be interested in us providing for them, we need to get to know them better. And this assignment only focuses on 3 families, but hopefully it helps gives you ways to learn to engage with all of your families. So, through respectful observation, communication, and documentation, you will practice culturally responsive engagement strategies, explore family diversity, and begin tailoring your practice to better support each child's unique context. By gathering insights into families' identities, values, and learning preferences, you'll strengthen your ability to develop inclusive, strengths-based partnerships. And that's a foundational skill for effective early childhood professionals and a key focus of this course. So you have 2 steps for this course spanning project. Do at the same time. I've given you quite a bit of time to get them done. You've got roughly 2 weeks from the time this module is posted to get them done. And that is because you might need the full 2 weeks. So I hope you're not putting it off, or don't put it off if you're watching this on the very first day. Because even if you don't put it off, you're dependent on families for these steps, and they could procrastinate even if you don't. So please try to get started right away. Okay, so step 1 is your 3-family observation. You're going to select 3 families from your classroom or care setting. And it'd be great if you could choose families with varied backgrounds. Those could be culturally varied, linguistically varied, varied in their belief systems, in their family structures. There are lots of ways that people show differences, other than what you might be thinking of when you see this class diversity. Okay, hopefully what you're already learning through your readings and what we'll continue to talk about some today is that there are many different ways that people exhibit diversity from one another. And we'll talk about that a little bit more as we go. You're going to conduct brief interviews or observations of these families. Use respectful communication and ensure confidentiality as you do. Make sure they know that you're not going to share it with anyone. You're going to share it with me, your instructor, but without telling me who these families are. And you're certainly not going to share it with other people, at your center if it's something that's confidential. You're going to complete the 3-family observation chart that's in your template. So that looks like this. Hopefully you have downloaded your template already from the first module. And if you haven't, you need to go do that now. But this is step 1. So you're going to fill out this task. What I might do if I were doing this is print 3 copies. I think I said task chart. Print 3 copies of this chart and use it to take notes as I'm interviewing each family so that I remember the questions. Or maybe you can visit with them more organically than that. And that's great. It doesn't have to be so formal. Just talk to them at drop off or pick up or anytime that you can. Okay. And just try to get to know them better. But these are the types of questions that you're going to ask them. Provide information about family 1. What do they identify? Oh my goodness. I need to fix your 3-family observation. No, I don't. Sorry. Okay, this is correct. Okay. Provide information about family 1. What do they identify as their race, their religion, if any, and culture? Who lives in their house? Who do they spend time with? Etc. You can't put enough here. Okay. When you think you've elaborated some, elaborate some more. Get to know these families. Just get to know them. Elaborate, elaborate, elaborate. And like I said, we'll talk a little bit more about some of these things as we go. What makes them diverse from the other families? And then you're going to do the same thing for family 2, for family 3, and then you're going to list similarities, hopefully some that you didn't already list, but if you have to, I guess you have to. Similarities for each of them and differences between the 3 families, or that should say among the 3 families. Okay, so you might be sitting here thinking that, I mean, you need to find a family um, that is Native American, and that you need to find a family that is Latino, and that you then you can do a white family, and that they all need to look different. And that's not what we mean. If you have that, fantastic. That's great. Please try to not just put that they are Native American. Learn some about their tribe. There are so many differences within Native American. Same with Latino. Just because someone speaks Spanish does not mean that they don't have a very different culture from one country to the next and regions. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in the video you'll see after this one, which is an older video that I just felt like sharing one day. And I watched it now and I thought, I want to say all those things, and I can't say them as well as I said them, I don't think, when I was really feeling them that day. So I've left that video to help you think about some more ways that we want to be culturally sensitive, that we can recognize diversities in people. So watch that video and enjoy my ranting. Not ranting, but my my musings. Um, okay, so you're filling out this chart. More information is always better. Don't put the minimal on there. Don't put notes instead of sentences. I want sentences here, okay? This is a college level paper. I want college level work for this chart. Okay, so going back to the instructions. So in your chart, you must include each family's self-identified race, religion, if any, and cultural background. What makes each family unique, similarities and differences, specific ways you currently accommodate or plan to accommodate, um, and cite at least two specific concepts. Okay, so I digress. Let me go back. So maybe you're sitting here thinking, I work in rural Southwest Oklahoma. All my families are white farm kids. How am I supposed to do this? Okay, well, like I said, that's what I started to say before. Sorry. If you have these different ethnic backgrounds, um, different, very obviously different cultures, great. But maybe you've got to dig a little deeper. So if you're sitting there thinking, all my families are white farm kids, they all go to the Baptist church. Okay, but do they all live with both mom and dad? Are they all the same position in their sibling order? Do they, do any of them have grandparents living with them? Do some of them have grandparents who live next door and some have grandparents who live across the country? Do some of them have someone living with them who has some type of differing ability than others? Do some of them have foster kids? Do they celebrate holidays the same way? That's another big thing. A lot of times on this, I'll get that families tell them they celebrate traditional American holidays. What does that mean? What are traditional American holidays? You probably mean like Christmas, 4th of July, and Easter. Maybe you don't, but even if you mean those, to some people, at least two of those are very religious holidays. And to other people, it's about food and Santa and hunting eggs and not religious at all. So try to just dig deeper and really get to know what makes these families who they are. And the whole point in this is that they're going to appreciate it. Okay. You're getting to know them and who they are and how they want their kids to learn and ways to connect to their kids. So, um, when you think you've learned something, try to learn more. I'm looking at my notes to see what else I need to talk about. Um, some people I have noticed like to just give these charts to families. Don't give these families homework. They don't need your homework. Talk to these families. You'll build a relationship and you're not giving them extra work to do. Um, okay, so diversity presents itself in many different ways. Elaborate, then elaborate some more. Um, I think I talked about all that on that one. Okay, fill in this chart. Um, the parts I didn't talk to, how are you accommodating or will you accommodate? Maybe you haven't been accommodating for this family having a sibling who has special needs because you didn't know. And now you know. So what might you do? Um, or so it could be ways you're already accommodating, or it could be ways you plan to accommodate, either one. And then reflection. What have you learned from this assignment? Now, what you need to do as you're filling out this chart is also look at the rubric, and that's for every assignment. Look at the rubric. Sometimes there are little details in the rubric, nuances that are going to be graded on that aren't always right here. For example, this chart doesn't say anything about sources, about incorporating sources, okay? Excuse me. But the instructions do, okay? Cite at least 2 specific concepts from this module's assigned readings or video to support your responses. Okay, you need to include the author and the page number or section within the chart. And then after the chart, so like down here, you're going to type yourself the sources that you referenced. Okay. Um, and then also it says this in the rubric, I believe. So step 1 is your observation chart. Is it thorough, where well-developed responses for all 3 families, shows deep understanding of diversity with multiple relevant examples, clearly identifies accommodations for each family, demonstrates critical thinking. But then also for step 1, I'm going to grade you on references at least 2 course concepts clearly and correctly, includes in-text citations, and strongly connects to theories. Okay, that's part of your grade. So that is step 1, filling out that chart. And then hopefully you do it early enough that you can go back to these families later and talk to them about step 2. And this one is a little bit of homework, but it's not writing anything. It's just talking with each other and doing some check marks. So you're going to print 3 copies of this. Learning preferences. And families are going to go through and read. Is it important to me that children should be active learners, learning through play? Is it important to me that my child should have ample opportunities to interact with other children and adults? They're going to pick from this list the most important things to them. They only have to pick the top 6 and number them, 1 being the most important and 6 being the least important of the 6. And then maybe there are several that aren't important to them at all. Okay, so family 1, family 2, family 3. But you're going to print it out and give it to them, and they can mark it wherever they want. Or you can tell them, hey, you're my family 2, you're my family 3. And then these charts are for you. What you're going to do is come back and plot the things that they said on this chart. So you're going to enter family 1's responses, family 2's responses, family 3's responses. And then you're going to start looking at it to notice patterns. Okay. So going back to the instructions, giving 1 to each family, ask them to rank their top 6 learning opportunities. Encourage them to get them back to you quickly, because you've got to then do work. So you can't put this off, and this is due, 2 weeks in. You can't put this off till the end of week 2, because they might, whenever they get it back to you, you still have to write about it. Okay, you're going to combine those like I just showed you. Then you're going to reflect on what you learned. What did you learn from the family's learning preferences? What are their major similarities and differences? How well do your current teaching practices meet these needs, and what changes will you consider? Do not just tell me, all families agreed about this. All families did not like this. Like, I can look at the chart myself. Please don't just reiterate what the chart says. Notice patterns and mention them to then say, what this tells me is that I need to be doing more of this. Or, oh, I've been spending all this time doing this, but my families don't really care about that. Things like that, okay? This is a reflection about what you're learning through these families. While some summary of the results will be required, this is not simply a summary where you list the results. So that's what I was just saying right now. Okay, and then you're going to complete all that in your template, which, like I said, is in that first module. You're going to complete all of it in your template and submit as one single document. So you'll submit this template with steps 1 and 2 done. And then step 3 and so on will still look like all this, okay? Notice you're going to fill in the chart, and then you're going to put your reflection here. It's telling you to delete this part in red. This is already in Times New Roman and double spaced. Leave it that way. Change it from being red, change it to black, but Times New Roman font, 12-point, double spaced, please. And then you turn in this template. And then when it's time for step 3, you go back to your template that you have downloaded and add step 3. Let's look again at the rubric. So here for step 2, accurately summarizes the family's top preferences. Data is clearly organized, reflects thought and effort. And then your 304 to 400 words. Deeply reflective, clearly connects family needs to teaching practices includes course concept with citation. That wasn't in the instructions. So because you've looked at the rubric, you now see that you needed to include course concept with citations. Something in your writing needs to say, um, it's, I'm not surprised that this is important to families because according to, and then the author of your textbook's name, um, families, blah, 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 some quote from your textbook or some paraphrase from your textbook. Um, and then I'm going to grade you just on your professionalism, that you followed instructions, that you um, wrote without tons of errors. I can correct a few errors and I can handle them and help you correct them, but without, where it looks like you were at least trying is how I'm going to grade that. So this is steps 1 and 2. Like I said, watch the video after this. Know that at the beginning, I reference another video. You don't see that video, but it goes into some more elaboration about just different ways in which our families might be diverse from one another. All right. Thanks for watching.